What is going on, everybody? Power Rankings here with me and PDS, and oh my goodness, Harpie ladies have absolutely obliterated everyone this week. It's not even close. First place is 62 points. Second place is 21 points. PDS, first of all, how are you?
I'm alright. How are you? Just finished Invitational today.
Yeah, that was
now
fun.
We're doing those power rankings.
What's going on with Harpies, man? Is this just an amazing week? Tier 0? What the hell just happened?
Nah, this deck, it's the skill, man. That skill is just way too good. You put so much. One normal summon just puts an insane amount of pressure on your opponent. That forces out basically every single trap. Is like it has to be chainable to Harpie's hunting ground. So like something like Fiendish Chain, that's not gonna cut it unless you're playing Harpies yourself, because then you can pop their field spell. Like you need something like Breakthrough. You need like those Floodgates, Canadias. And then the worst part is that they have access to cards like Swallow's Nest, which is completely nullify those cards, and then they also get an additional pop. It's just like, it's just so good. Like
it's pretty ridiculous.
There's not really an answer to it. Like even people, they put in Poisonous Winds in the side deck, and they literally just normal summon a Harpie and pop it. It's like, really? Like, what am I supposed to do?
Well, I think -1 was talking about earlier today. All the other decks that have Floodgates against them, like non-fusionary and stuff like that, they have to like just dig for Cosmic MST, while Harpies they just, as long as they have Harpie's hunting ground, they just summon a monster, and then they just get rid of their Floodgate.
Like for other decks, you just need to draw your Floodgate and you should be fine. But for Harpies, you need to draw your Floodgate and you need to draw removal for Harpie's hunting ground. Like you need both.
And of course, the way we do these tournaments is based on your placing between 1st and 8th place. You get points. First place, obviously, getting the most points. And you can see this deck. Look at all those Meta Weekly, Meta Freakly, Ruby League, Battle Phase, Monday, Battle Phase Thursday, Battle Phase Sunday, Battle Step, first place, first place, first place, first place, first place. Deck's just insane. Yeah. Deck's just
it's absolutely a really good deck.
Yeah. Getting into it, second place, like I said, with almost 40 points differential, 21 to 62 points, is that Magnet deck. Are people still underestimating Magnets? This deck's been popping off. Is it just Magnets or D-Draw? What's going on here?
So, like, this is one of those cases where, the chainable back row definitely is in the favor of the Magnets. So, you might be thinking Powerful Rebirth, that's not really chainable to a Harpie's hunting ground, but the Magnets all tribute themselves as cost, and then you can go ahead and chain the Rebirth. So you get, you get the effect on summon, and then you also get a delta. So you put up 2 monsters, which should keep you alive against Harpies, and then you get your follow-up turn. So, and with the follow-up turn, you can go for Valkyrion, or Berserkion. I mean, sorry about that. Yeah, you go for Berserkion. So yeah, the deck is really nice, and it's also really good against Melodious. With the magnetic field spell.
Yep.
And the main deck Chalice.
And the Gorgona Guardian too. That card's insane.
You got a lot of answers. Yeah,
that's like.
And you also got your Corbage. There's just a lot of answers to a lot of decks.
Yeah, it's just one of the better performing XC decks in the metagame right now.
Especially because of the you have access to rank 3s and rank 4s, which is not really common in any other deck. The only thing that came to my mind is maybe in the past, Evil Eye. Evil Eye had access to those similar card pool. Yeah, but right now it's Magnets. And
I think Trimids can do rank 3 too, but they lose pretty heavily to Harpies, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. So Magnets, if you got the deck, boys,
get in there. Melodious 3rd place. I think this is the highest they've been so far. I kind of talked about this a little bit in the last power rankings we did. They're slowly climbing the power rankings, and even though they're warping the meta like crazy, I guess just because Harpies aren't that amazing of a matchup into them, they just never really get that many tops in the power rankings. They're always around 3rd to 5th place.
Yeah, so it's pretty decent against every other deck, but it's actually pretty difficult to beat Harpies. You need to draw really, really well. It's like and also you need to be playing out of your mind. It's just one of those decks where it has a really, really good card like Bloom Diva and Score. Just make the deck so good, but Harpies are just so annoying and like gatekeeping decks like this out of having their like maximum potential reach.
And then it's also funny too because they're trying to play around Harpies. so heavily, they're just losing to the most random meme decks I've ever seen. Like, I think Noble Knight and Chronomaly actually have a positive win rate against this deck in battle. If you look at all the battle phases, most Chronomaly and most Noble Knights beat Melodious. And it's like, man, that shouldn't be happening with a tiered deck. They shouldn't be losing that consistently.
Yeah.
To the rogue decks, but here we are.
I mean, that's like sometimes I'd be playing this deck and it's literally like you summon like, you know, like one of the little Melodious cards.
Yeah.
And then that's like you're just beating them down with that. Like you're not really playing the fusion part of the deck, and it feels so weird.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's probably one of the weaker tier decks in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you know, these lists also look kind of weird because you're like, wow, they play all these traps and treacherous. It's like, do they know how to build their deck? But then you got to remember, you know, Shuberta lets you banish all those traps. So
that's the real boss monster, bro. Holy.
Yeah, it's crazy because if you put Shuberta up against like the Slash Dragon and they try to like bounce your Shuberta, you just chain the effect to banish from their graveyard, and then you chain block them so they can't bounce it. It's really funny,
actually. Yeah.
And then you just run over it. So. There's that little interaction. Yep.
Fourth place, Gaia. Oh my lord! From like nowhere to suddenly being first place. They actually won Battle Phase Wednesday, and the rest of the tournament's top 4, top 8, but still had a presence. You know, they were actually. I think there was one tournament there was like 6 Gaia tops. Is this just because there's just more Harpies we're seeing, or why is Gaia coming back in?
Yeah, you know, I'm not really too sure. I feel like Gaia is also one of those weaker decks, only because of how popular, you know, like literally if you have Mystical Space Typhoon, you literally just destroy this deck. Like they lose all their consistency, all the follow-up. They lose the main gimmick, you know, is that you can't use hand traps. You can finally use hand traps against them. So I think that's what's been keeping it low. We might even see it get a little bit lower. This is one of the most easily accessible decks. I mean, maybe not so much anymore, right? Because of the eccentric.
Yeah,
you gotta have those eccentrics. And so we'll see, but yeah, as to why it's been rising, I guess it's just because they're just trying to find an answer to Harpies. Maybe they're just tired of those Harpie mirrors.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
and I think too, just because like again, Melodious, we saw the usage go down a little bit, not a whole lot. Melodious, you know, they'd much rather take on Harpie, but yeah, just getting rid of that field spell is kind of. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's more of a case of they had a good week.
Yeah, I feel like this deck is just really fragile compared to the other decks. Though, like like if you play this deck and you get your field spell wiped out, it's like, geez, like what am I supposed to do? I have a Curse of Dragon in my hand and nothing else.
Yeah. Or you ever get the point where you like have a Curse of Dragon in defense mode? You can't summon anything because you can't tribute, but you can't normal summon, so you're just waiting for your opponent to interact with you.
It's really weird.
Oh man. 5th place, Water Exceed with only 8 points, not a single tournament victory. The highest was a top 4 finish at Battle Step. Very weak performance of Water. They were 2nd place for pretty much ever since the ban list, but all of a sudden dropping off to 5th place, even though with 84 representation. What on earth? What happened here?
Yeah, so this deck, it has a really bad Melodious matchup. Like, you need to draw really well to beat it. Like, just looking at this deck list, like, what are his outs to Bloom Diva? He has
Chalice, Breakthrough Skill?
Chalice and Breakthrough, that's it. You know, like,
I guess technically you could Canadia and then Marksman.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. Yeah. That's so many combos. So many.
That's why he has to play the Marksman.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this deck really struggles to play against Melodious, and Melodious is the 2nd best deck. So
yeah.
And then not only that, you know, if you just take a look at the back row, like let's say, what's your ideal turn 1? You have Diva, you know, infantry. So you got a pop and then maybe a back row, right?
Yeah.
So they literally like, you gotta just have like the perfect like combination of cards to have even a chance against Harpies, and then Harpies just have access to the Swallow's Nest to just go ahead and dodge your cards.
Yeah.
Like, especially like even if you open Diva TTH, like they can force out the TTH before you can like use it well, you know. So it's like. Yeah, it's really sad.
It's just one of those scenarios where, you know, as nice as the water idea is, it's just at the end of the day, the meta, it's getting more and more solved, and just Harpies are just they're feeling a little not tier 0. I think you need to have multiple weeks where you perform like this, but if Harpies is able to get multiple weeks of you know, 40-point differentials, that's when you have to start, okay, Konami, the difference between the first place deck and the second place deck is just too much. It's too much at this point. Because it
Yeah.
really does feel like Harpies are overtaking everything. Do you think they need to nerf Harpies, or do you think it's time to power creep, or what should they do? What's the key? What's the
I
answer?
think they definitely need to address that skill. That skill
Yeah.
is just, it just, like I said, like a normal summon should not be putting that much pressure. Like normal summons should be where you're the most vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
But it's just literally like, oh, I get a normal summon, I get my effect, and I also get to pop your card. It's like, oh, okay then.
Yeah, we just keep going backwards and backwards in the metagame. I'm just afraid if they nerf Harpies, you know, because the Konami never does like something light, like just a tap. They either do a nerf that has no relevancy, right? TTH, and with Elegant Egotist, or they kill a deck, all like straight out kill a deck. They're very bad at just like going really slightly, you know, easy instead of just going hard all in just one patch.
Yeah,
So,
no, they definitely do have that track record of just completely murdering a deck.
Yeah.
But I mean, how many hits have Harpies gotten so far? Just
one.
one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're still fine for another 2, maybe even 3 hits. But honestly, Harpies is still really strong. Just like if you got to change the scale to like Ty's Death Line, it's just not the best deck by far because the skill is just way too good.
Yeah. I would say power creep the meta, but we both know they still have a bunch of crappy cards to give us. So I think the best option is just to keep nerfing until they're out of crappy cards. That's just how life is. All right, boys, that's pretty much it. Tell me what you guys think about Harpies. I'm not ready to declare Tier 0 yet, but it's definitely the best deck by far. Leave your comments down below. Join the Discord. That's where we host all these tournaments. I think that's it. PDS, anything else?
Just you know, where's the DDDs? Where's the Lunar Lights at? Where are they at?
We'll talk about DDD when the main box comes out, dude. Yeah. All right, boys. Like, comment, subscribe. You know all that. Peace out. Till next time.